According to reports, US President Joe Biden is expected to travel to Saudi Arabia this month as Washington seeks to improve its relations with Riyadh. This all at a time when the Russian invasion of Ukraine has pushed the US to prioritize geopolitics over its stand on human rights. While the visit is yet to be formally confirmed, the stopover in Riyadh is likely to be added to a previously scheduled trip to Israel, Germany and Spain. Many see this visit as President Biden abandoning his earlier campaign pledge to make Saudi Arabia a pariah for the murder of the Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Relations between the two countries had nosedived since the killing, and especially after US intelligence concluded that Prince Mohammed himself had ordered the killing of Khashoggi at a consulate in Istanbul. But in the wake of the Russian invasion, the US has been forced to seek out other energy producers in order to replace Russian oil and stabilize global oil prices. To that end, Biden has seen some success since, after months of urging the group of oil-producing nations called the OPEC+, which is essentially the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, on Thursday announced that it would increase the production of crude oil in July and August. The White House also took the rare step of recognizing the role played by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in extending a ceasefire in Yemen. The White House said that the Saudi king deserved credit for its role in the diplomacy which brought about this truce. Despite the tensions brought after Khashoggi's death, Washington has been careful not to break the nearly 8-decade-old relationship with Riyadh. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Wednesday said that Saudi remains a critical partner for the United States, especially after dealing with extremism in the region, along with dealing with challenges posed by Iran. The White House so far has not confirmed President Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia, only saying that the president is focused on how his engagements with foreign leaders advance American interests. And for more details, joining us now is our correspondent Susan Tehrani from New York. Susan, thanks so much for joining us. Tell our viewers a little bit about the significance and timing of this visit. This comes and seems to be like a U-turn on Biden's former pledge to isolate Saudi Arabia, especially for the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Tell us more about the same.
Right, so we don't have a definitive answer from the White House on whether or not President Biden will indeed in earnest be visiting Saudi Arabia or not, but we do have reports that he may be visiting later this month. Regardless, what this signifies is the Biden administration and President Biden's own dilemma, really, about promoting human rights when it comes to Saudi Arabia, and really, talking about during his campaign trial about Saudi Arabia having a quote-unquote pariah status on the one hand because of its human rights violations, and then the real politics of soaring gas prices here at home with the upcoming congressional elections in the United States, the midterm elections. So he really has to do something about this, and no country like Saudi Arabia can help him in this situation. Just to give you some numbers, Saudi Arabia has the world's largest reserve oil production capacity, 2 million barrels per day. It's the only producer, basically, that can make a dent in any price of gasoline prices for the American consumer. So a lot of this has to do with what Biden is facing here at home, but it also has a lot to do with what President Biden is also facing abroad when it comes to dealing with Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Susan, just elaborating on what you just said, two key developments happened recently: the oil production increase, of course, and the Yemen ceasefire, which impacts Saudis, of course. So are we essentially seeing a new kinship between Washington and Riyadh?
Washington and Riyadh have been allies for decades. I mean, this is a relationship that is to the strategic interests of both countries, despite what President Biden had noted, and what the recent developments that happened where MBS did not pick up the phone on President Biden. But we do need to take into consideration that when President Biden does reach out to Riyadh and MBS, what will be the quid pro quo, if you may, on the part of MBS? What will he expect in return, and whether or not he will be able to deliver on the request for sort of coming out of this pariah status that President Biden has unofficially or officially put MBS into. The best case outcome would be to produce more oil, maybe a more a better human rights record, and more accommodating to Iran. At least that's what the Biden administration wants, recognizing Israel, putting an end to the war in Yemen. These will all be the best case scenarios for the Biden administration. However, if this does not happen, then what would happen for President Biden is, on the one hand, he would lose his base because he put MBS, on that sort of platform of being a pariah status, and then not getting what he wants, and then going all the way to Riyadh. And on the other hand, MBS coming out with an upper hand where, Saudi Arabia sort of took the lead and dictated the U.S. policies. So the president is in a very curious position right now. But first, let's wait and see if this trip does indeed happen.
Right, absolutely. We, of course, will be tracking if this trip does get underway. Susan Tehrani from New York, thanks for summing that for us, and thanks for joining us on WION. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.